Hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good time of day. Welcome to Banner and Backbone's Anti-Fascist Book Club. I'm Nick Perro, co-founder here at Banner and Backbone. Welcome, everyone. We are starting a new book today. I'm joined, before we get into any of it, I'm joined by my good friends and colleagues, Tara Devlin from Tara Buster. Tara, how are you?
Hello. I'm all right, fair to partly cloudy
Good.
these
Hey,
days.
you're alive. You're 6 feet above the
Well,
ground.
that's it.
That's got
That's
to
it.
count for something,
At
right?
least I'm in the fight here. So let's do
Good.
it.
Let's keep this fight going. And also, next we have our good friend, the founder of Veterans Fighting Fascism and the book club itself, Christopher Goldsmith, as well as On Offense, doing some incredible interviews. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, brother? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad you could make it. Glad you're here. It's always good to have you. And rocking the book club shirts. Glad we can. I got to put some merch links up too in
Yeah.
our
I
show
need
notes
it.
I need the merch too.
because people have been asking to like, hey, where can we buy the merch? I will include a merch link for if Chris, is it just it's just on the website.
Oh, wait, I gotta get something.
Veterans.org and click store at the top. It'll bring you there.
I want to show you
Sweet.
something. Wait, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
2 seconds.
Awesome. And while Tara's running around, I'm gonna flip her screen so that while she's not here, that way her stuff is facing the right direction. And finally, we have our other good friend, my good friend Stephanie Wilson from Freedom Over Fascism, a friend here at Banner and Backbone, Sick of This Shit Publications, all the great things. Hey, Steph, how are you?
Hi, all the things. I really like Tara's fair to partly cloudy, but
you can use it.
As I say, I am alive, I'm medicated, and I'm raring to go.
I just want to show you something because you were speaking of merch, and there's really something kind of cool that the Political Voices Network
go for it,
and the Stephanie Miller Show, and that we've created these pins. Everybody likes to wear these lapel pins, but we created the No Kings lapel pin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
So they're for sale on the PBN merch site, and it's 20. What is it? 2026 for $2026. To keep our eye on the prize. I thought that isn't that cool?
I like
you put them on your lapel.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm putting it on right now. So get one, and it all goes to keeping the independent liberal media going and growing. So, which is part
the
of
new media because we're new media now. Well,
right.
Is that what we're calling ourselves?
That's what I'm calling us is new media. I'm done being called like independent or whatever weird non-media. Like I heard something about words and how we can like stop calling like things like China does it. I think it was your interview, Chris, on the Find Out podcast with, I believe, Governor Inslee of former Governor Inslee of Washington State. My former governor when I lived there. He did some good stuff. I approved of Inslee's work. I was glad he was governor. But you guys were talking about like the word choice on like how China, I think it was, changed how they talked about the environment instead of like clean energy or alternative energy or green energy. They just said new energy.
That makes sense.
And it's new energy versus do you want to use new energy or do you want to be on old
crusty and smelly, dirty
energy? Do you want to be new and cool and hip and up to date? So we're the new media. I don't want to be part of that old media.
That's true. I like that. And you're right, 100%, of course, because it is really about language and messaging. That's why I always say that, when they talk about, because that, they demonize the word socialism, but when we, of course, Americans love socialism. They love their social security, their socialist, roads, their socialist, education system, all the, socialist water when they turn on the tap. Here comes nice, clean, beautiful water. And, but to quote the baboon, but I got to stop that. But anyway, but that's how the Democrats should. That's why I wish they would listen to us, because we know how to message. And you have to message it as a patriotic imperative, because that's what we're talking about. Universal health care, universal higher education, living wages. These are not just good things or nice things or fair. They are patriotic imperatives, because we don't leave anybody behind. That's how you have to message it. We're in this together. This is, how do you, I mean, to say that we have a health system that leaves millions out is, really just unpatriotic when it boils down to it. Because why would any patriotic country, leave anybody out? So anyway, I mean, Dems, you got to get a clue here. That's how you message things, because it's true. Not only is it right and correct, it's true, and it's necessary as well. If we want
they won't even listen to the cognitive sciences who have been messaging winning campaigns for decades. So
right.
That's who I take my cues from, particularly, and not Shankar Osorio, but she can't get people to listen to her. So we've got to be the ones out there.
Yeah. That's how you got to do. You got to shame them enough and keep pushing on them. That's the other thing with the media, the legacy media, whatever. You got to shame them into stopping the both sidesism and all this other bullshit that and normalizing what's going on. Just not even, because what's the question? The question to this unfit, tax cheating, draft dodging, wannabe dictator baboon is not, oh, gee, sir, you got a healthcare plan yet? Is, who the fuck do you think you are? Who, you're not fit to sit in this chair. You're clearly have a confusion about what America is all about by the fact that you're slapping your ugly face on everything, So anyway, this is not North Korea yet, at least.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It is on Fox News. Is getting us.
So before we get too far into this conversation,
sorry.
Let's introduce the book that we're going to start talking and framing this discussion around for the next few weeks. Because this is the Anti-Fascist Book Club. We're here to bring knowledge and information and help show people how to start possibly their own book clubs locally. If they have to start virtually, just start a book club, start reading and getting information out, because it's, as Evan Fields, a friend of ours who comes on and talks with us for the show, says, it's a scholar warrior mentality, and we have to embrace that.
Right.
And we have to be willing to become scholar warriors. And the first way you do that is by getting the knowledge that you need and getting the tools in your tool belt. So we have finished up our series on the first book and the first reading of the Anti-Fascist Book Club. So 2 series so far is the What is Fascism from Task Force Butler through Veterans Fighting Fascism. And I'm going to hand it over to Chris here in a second for you, if you could, my friend,
Sure.
to reintroduce the book club itself in terms of, from your framing of, especially if I've missed anything on like what the book club can be used for and how it should be used in the educational tools that it is. And so we've finished up our first 2 books, What is Fascism? Well, Writing, which is What is Fascism? And then our first book on tyranny. And now we are introducing our 3rd book in the series, which is Strongmen, Mussolini to the Present by Ruth Ben-Ghiat. We're going to hold up our copies of Strongmen here. So go find yours. It will be a digital copy of Strongmen. I will obviously link, as I always do, in the post show notes on where to get them from thrift books and online stores that are not large corporations, so you can support thrifted books and smaller sellers and local folks. But it's always to encourage, go to the library and see if they have a copy and check it out there. Because if you go to the library and they don't, and then they get it, that's a good thing. So Chris, I'm going to hand it over to you, brother, and let you reintroduce parts of the book club.
Sure. So, so the book club was inspired by kind of a popular response to a viral TikTok video that I did a little over a year ago. After the election, folks were asking me like, "What do we do now?" Like, we couldn't imagine this electoral loss. You've got a felon who promised revenge and retribution. That was the core of his campaign. What do we do now? This is a fascist takeover. So I read out a list of books, and people responded by creating their own book clubs based on the reading list. So after folks got done with those, because I said you need to finish these before January 20th so that you're fully prepared, folks asked for more. So I formalized it, created a club on veteransfightingfascism.org. There are a bunch of guides, everything that you need to get started. The point of the book club is multifaceted. It is not simply just to educate you on fascism so that you can recognize it when you see it. It is to tell you the history of fascism. And the history of fascism is anti-fascists always win. It might take 2 years, it might take 40 years, but the anti-fascists do win. So there is a lot of discomfort in reading about things like fascist takeovers and the Holocaust, but there is, I think, a lot of encouragement in reading about the resistance. And the thing that the Anti-Fascist Book Club wants to do the most is to help you build community. This is an excuse to get out of the house. Yes, we're doing this online, but we are all nationally focused. In order to combat fascism, you need to rip it out from the roots, and you do that where you live. So find your clique, find your group of friends, family, strangers that you're meeting in your town's Facebook group. Sit down over coffee or a beer or whatever you want to do. Read these books together. You will build trusted relationships, and you take those trusted relationships, you go to town meetings, school board meetings, and you stop people from banning books at your local library or at your school. That is the first thing that the fascists always come for, that and the LGBTQ community. And your book club can be the bulwark against fascism in your hometown.
Thank you.
I muted myself. Sorry. Thank you. Great intro. And exactly. And folks are saying it in the chat too, is it takes time. It takes effort. It's purposeful. It's directed action, and it's directed purpose. And it's how we've made a lot of connections with each other here virtually too, that have been incredibly powerful, and are going to help us. I'm going to specifically talk about some of it too, is in terms of how we can use these book clubs as especially this virtual one, as a way to get change out there. Is this has allowed us to make connections between friends on here, where we can get reporting out, say, around flock safety cameras, and put templates out for folks to be able to do very simple and easy pre-formatted FOIA requests for your local police department, to ask them to release their data retention policies if you have flock safety cameras in your communities. On top of that is like, what are their installation policies? What was their public oversight? Like, how did they get the approvals on this? Because we have friends and we've met people through the book club and through the community building that we're doing here, we get to put out those tools, and we get to work on those types of things and make that possible for people at home to also participate even more. Like, this isn't just for us, because like Chris said, we're nationally focused. That national focus though can give you hyper local tools, sort of like as the dog alarms go off, is we can give hyper focused local tools by our national connections. And regional focused tools on through our connections. And so keep coming into these book clubs with us. This virtual book club, we're basically going to be doing this for ad nauseum until fascism is defeated. There's books out there forever and days.
That's going to be a nice day.
Yeah, it'll be a nice day when we can turn the book club into just the book club. And we just hang out, and we don't have to be specifically anti-fascist, because anti-fascism, would be the norm and the standard again. And so I'm glad we get to do these a lot. And so your connections matter. Those in the audience who come every week, those connections matter, because you're getting the tools, and all you have to do is tell one person or two people. Tell two friends about what you've learned today. Do it in person. Talk to them in person. Text them. Call them. FaceTime them. Whatever. Two friends that you're really good with, and just say, hey, I learned this really cool, interesting thing, or I learned about this book in a book club that I'm part of, that I join in, and I ask questions to as part of the chat and live podcast of it. Like, we were talking about this neat book. These are the things we can do at home, or these are the things that are going on. Like, have you seen new cameras coming up in your community? How do you like being surveilled all the fucking time and having your movements tracked? Do you want to stop that? Well, come to this book club. We can give you the tools to do that. Like, just tell two friends, share it. And that's all that's a simple entry point into anti-fascism and civic action. And it makes you feel good at the end too. You feel good when you put out good content and good information, and you make new connections.
Very true.
Absolutely.
True. Sorry.
Go ahead, Steph.
Yes.
No, what I was going to say was going to be off topic, so I'm going to refrain. But I think this is awesome, and I think the communities that we've started to build, that we connect with through the chat and having people on, and even having new and slightly different ideas and context. Chris, I saw one of your lives over, I don't know, time doesn't mean anything, but it was when you were talking about your research into the ultra right wing. And, I was thinking about the kind of context things that I do. And I think all of it comes together to create lots of the different sides that we need to have a connected community that understands where we are at this moment. And as I mentioned in the chat, like, one of the things I do is talk about, how do we talk about politics without talking about politics? And if people are interested, I have thought about creating a live or some sort of book club around not the strongman kind of books, but the series like Andor, which is as anti-fascist as you can get, and we can learn a lot from entertainment as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So science fiction is basically anti-fascist, like almost, whether it's Starship Troopers or Star Wars, it's all
Isaac Asimov's Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just started talking to an historian who is also a fiction writer about doing exactly this. It has been my intent for a long time to write an anti-fascist book club fiction book list. It's coming, not anytime soon. It'll happen when it happens. But that might be paired with a new podcast series. We'll see.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I think we need more of these anyways. And Steph, I'd say go for it. Like, start one, go for it. I'll even help I don't have to co-host it. I can help promote it though on Banner and Backbone, and you can just play it here, and we can let you run free on another book club. Like,
all right,
Banner and Backbone book club
to...
section seems like a good use of people's time, and we have a community that likes coming here for them, and I think you could easily expand that into an incredible secondary book club series. So yes, I would love for you to do that. I think it's fantastic.
All right. If any of you in our community wants to think about doing it with me, I am open to that as well.
Awesome. See, this is the importance of the book club, is we can do more than just one. We can multitask. We can hold multiple truths and do multiple things at once. And if we get, say, Stephanie with 3 or 4 or 5 new co-hosts that aren't us, that are different voices in the community, that's a huge enrichment for so many people on different perspectives that are not mine. Like, that's we need a majority of perspectives, and we need to put all of them out there. And that's why I like having Melissa and Shane have a show where I'm not part of it, because it's not my perspectives, and that's the point, is we need more and more voices out there. So please contact Stephanie if you're interested, and we'll get it figured out and start a new book club for her.
Great.
We got
and
you.
I'll just add more to my list of things.
Yes.
Yep, I'll just pile more onto your list of things to do.
Yeah.
But if we can get at least 3 friends for Stephanie that are not already on this show, that would be incredible. Like, that would be amazing, and I think we could easily do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, let's talk about Ruth Ben.
Yeah, let's talk about Strongmen. So again, this is the Anti-Fascist Book Club. If you haven't figured that part out already, welcome. If you are allergic to information and knowledge, now is the time to leave.
Now's the time to stay, damn it.
Actually, now's the time to stay. But if you're allergic to knowledge, you're going to have a hard time today.
Yeah.
And thank you to whoever scanned the QR code. That's for Veterans Fighting Fascism. That links directly to the homepage. And I'll be putting more links up after the show with all of the other content around books and finding them. But anyway, we're doing Strongmen by Ruth Ben. And today we're going to focus really on the introduction of the book, and maybe get into it a little bit. It's broken down into 3 major parts overall, so we'll probably group our discussions depending on how long we go into smaller segments, things like that. But we'll see. That's the fun of the book club. We spent 8 weeks talking about a book that was rather short, and I think it was really important that we did. So Stephanie, do you want to, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you want to start at all with anything from the introduction that piqued your interest, or is there an introduction to the book that you have?
Well, let me give Stephanie a minute to gather her thoughts, and I'll tell you why Strongmen comes in this order after On Tyranny. So On Tyranny is, I don't have it at the moment. It's a teeny tiny book. The reason that is up first, it's the first physical book, is because you get a dopamine spike from going cover to cover, and I wanted to make that easy, right? So start with On Tyranny. It gives you a good instruction manual on how to resist authoritarianism. Strongmen comes next because this is teaching you about the rise of fascism, starting with Benito Mussolini, which is where the term came from. It talks about both these historical figures and these contemporary ones. I'm 40 years old, right? I think that if you asked me 10 years ago, was there a fascist government around, I would have said no. And that's not entirely accurate. The introduction here will introduce you to more modern fascist leaders and help you understand that fascism doesn't just mean you've got the faces on a flag. It is a style of thinking. It's not, to call someone a fascist is not like a label like a Democrat or a Republican. It's a way of gaining power and a way of ruling. And it is self-destructive. So after this book, which gives you an understanding of the history and the modern context of fascism, you move on to Surviving Autocracy by Masha Gessen, which will help you understand what you have been surviving in real time. It talks about life under the first Trump presidency. And with that, I'll kick it back over to Stephanie.
Well, thank you, Chris. So one thing I want to add to what Chris just said is that Ruth Ben-Ghiat makes the point that fascism is a 20th century concept that starts with Mussolini. I just want to add that all the different flavors of authoritarianism, actually, it doesn't start with Mussolini. She said it started with Mussolini, but it doesn't. It was Franco, but in Spain. But as I think of that, still 20th century. Doesn't mean that back through all of the different civilizations in time, there weren't authoritarian rulers who used violence to keep down their people and to amass more power and personal wealth. But what we're focusing on is starting in last mid-century Europe forward. And I think one of the things that's most interesting and sort of convergent with our moment right now is that the things that she pulls out as really important elements of how fascist leaders, say since Franco, have done it is propaganda, which we see all the time with look at Trump's trying to have a hostile takeover of a bunch of media companies, from even Netflix taking them over, which is taking Warner Brothers, but which includes CNN. So that's another news source. CBS was just taken over by David Ellison, I think. I mean, so all of these news sources are one by one coming under the auspices of people who are there to gain personal power and wealth. Also, she talks about the direct linkage of the idea of the reason that she calls this book Strongmen is because they are all men. Even strong female leaders have done things in different ways and not to the extent that these strong men have. So masculinity and virility is linked in really closely. Corruption, self-dealing, making money from the state and from business and from foreign powers, and that being one of the central reasons that you do any sort of international relations is what is the ruler and his family and his cronies get out of it, and using violence as a way to state-sponsored violence. The fact that ICE just got a bump in its budget. It was essentially the same size as the FBI, and now it got another I think 10 times, maybe more,
disgusting
budget than even the FBI, who's been pulled off of their real work to follow ICE around and help them. So these different elements are all come together to form a particular kind of authoritarian ruler who often like each other more than anybody else. It talked about Berlusconi and Putin and how they were besties. So I think thinking about those things, media and virility and masculinity and violence and corruption as sort of this set of intertwined phenomena that help us put a circle around what are we talking about here when we talk about strongmen fascists, as opposed to, maybe in the past, the kings who had direct you know, whether it's the Caesars of the Romans or the kings within Europe, France and England most particularly, or the Russian royal family, that is a difference that we see for the last, say, 100 years than from what came before. So,
yeah, and I want to jump off of one of the last things that you said about the friendships between these fascists. This is so clear in Donald Trump with his desire to get close to Putin and to Kim Jong-il and all of these other authoritarians who the rest of the world have zero interest in having personal relationships with. Fascist personalities attract one another, and it is this virility idea is something that is more important than I think people might be able to understand if they're just hearing us talk about it. That's what I like about Ben Ghiat's books so much. It really does put the idea of this masculinity aspect and the physical dominance in a violently masculine way, how important that is to the fascist personality. And when you read about the history of it, you see it everywhere in everything that Trump has done, not just as president, but back in the 80s when he was, in the 90s when he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Like these are fascist personalities. These are fascist personality traits, and they are consistent whether you're an oligarch or close to being an oligarch or a president duly elected democratically, because that's how fascists come into power.
All right, I'm going to stick a little element of doubt into the duly elected democratically, but that's all I'll say right now.
Yeah, and I think you hit on an important point too there, Chris, was the Epstein connection and how this is a very major tie in what they view as masculinity, is what this type of personality views as masculinity. It's the Peter Thiel version of masculinity. It's the Elon Musk version of masculinity. It's this incel culture masculinity where it's fake. It's all based on fake grievances and yelling inflammatory bullshit and then getting upset or pretending to be upset when people get mad at you and sue you for it, and grifting.
Well, I think that sense of grievance, you have to create a sense of victimization in order to gain that power. And I think that is, as you say, Nick, particularly salient among all these kinds of people, is like get the dominant culture to feel victimized, and then you got a pretty powerful.
And I think part of that victimization, obviously, one of the big things that's talked about is populism and the use of populism and how it ties into authoritarianism in general, or is used by authoritarians in general. But it's this merging of identity with your politics is your identity. If you ask people nowadays, it's not, are you an American or are you a citizen, or what are your views or values? It's, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? And it's your identity has to be merged with the national identity or the religious and national identity. And they say, as Ruth Ben-Ghiat writes, is, well, populism is not inherently authoritarianism. Many strongmen, past and present, have used populist rhetoric that defines their nations as bound by faith, race, and ethnicity rather than legal rights. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. That's what Project 2025 is. That's what the 7 Mountain Mandates are. It's a theonomy. It's merging this idea of faith and exclusivity of religion and exclusivity of ethnicity by removing the existing laws and saying those are no longer required or need to be followed. We're just going to replace them with these new ones. And here you go.
Well, that's what I mean. The Supreme Court is giving Trump and this whole unitary executive bullshit, of course, more power, more and more, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a constitutional scholar or a lawyer, but it does seem corrupt to continuously give more power to the executive when we are supposed to have checks and balances. That's what the whole system is built upon. So when you give, and it's all to wrap this in the veneer of legal legitimacy, just like the Nazis did. And this is what back when it was before the baboon was in office. No offense to baboons, but they, when Mitch McConnell stopped Obama from putting, Merrick the Meek on, or at least even, he proposed Merrick the Meek, but then, stopping him from even having any hearings or anything, from being a Supreme Court justice. And that's exactly what the Nazis did. So, and back in the day, I was screaming about this, saying this is what they did. The Nazis took years to get power. They did it. They tried the coup, and then they did it through the inside job. And they won seats in the Reichstag. They lost seats in the Reichstag. And all the while, putting their flunkies in these positions, especially in the judiciary, to nullify the Constitution, the laws. So and this is what we're seeing yet again. And it's all connected. I don't know. It's just the more that we talk about it too, like, for example, with these Epstein files as well, in these emails that we've received, we see that Epstein is talking to Steve Bannon about who he wants on the Supreme Court. Justice, I like beer, Kavanaugh. Let's go with I like, Justice, I like beer. And now here we are. He's on the court. That was Jeffrey Epstein's pick for the Supreme. And you see, it doesn't matter. They can abuse girls, they can rape girls, and as long as you're in the crowd, and this is exactly what we're talking about too. And it's all violating norms. Like all this time that when Mitch McConnell was doing that, was corrupting the courts. And I was screaming, this is what the Nazis did. Why wouldn't the corporate media point that out to the American people? How are they going to know this if you don't point it out? It's just like, oh, he's doing something. He's violating a norm. Well, that's how the Roman Republic fell too. They were around for 500 years and they still fell because violating norms. Instead of having a consul for 1 year, who cares? Make it 2, make it 3, make it 4, make it for life. And this is what we're seeing. And I'm tired of it. I don't know about you, but I really am. And, and one thing that you said, Chris, too, was that it does give me hope that they fall. They always fall. And I'm just hope I'm around to see it.
Right. I think frankly. I think we have to, as Americans, we have a very short attention span, and we think of things in smaller chunks than I think we need to be. Nick and I have talked about this tons, that we need to be thinking in 50-year chunks and not in 18-month chunks. But we're very used to just thinking in these small moments. And I think Tim Snyder talked about it as the two sides of the same coin, being the idea of inevitability and the idea of fatalism, right? That the track we're on is going to be the track we're on for ever. And that's not true, but we have to learn to extend that timeline beyond.
We have to go on offense and take the narrative, as we might say, or as Chris might say, for being on offense.
You have to be on offense. You have to take the narrative. You have to.
And that's what a 50-year plan is like. We've talked about it. We call it in our early musings right now is the Tricentennial Action Group, or TAG, You're It for Democracy. as a tagline for it, because one, it needs to be something people want to be a part of, and we have to make democracy feel inevitable again. We have to make democracy be the path, like you just said, Steph, was it has to feel long term. Right now, democracy doesn't feel long term anymore to people. It feels pretty unstable because it's been made to feel unstable.
Yeah.
And part of making it feel unstable was, I think we were all convinced, just like you said, that we have to do things in short time spans only. We've been convinced that we can only pay attention to 30-second sound bites or 1-minute clips on TV because that's what the news became, not because that's what we wanted or what we actually desire for information, because it seems to me like we get quite a few views. I mean, we have almost 200 people here on Substack with us. We're over 200 overall in viewers right now. We are every week. And this video gets shared out on multiple Substacks, and people watch these recordings and see what we're talking about and get these narratives, and it feels like we've been lied to, that people have short attention spans, and that if we can break part of that programming and that lie down, that people will once again start seeing like, oh, we have another path, because fascism is creating so much chaos that everything is too fast to do. It's all flood the zone all the time. You can't get a footing. You can't feel stable. So, but long form content, 2-hour long.
Uh-oh. Getting
Chris, I think you were about to say something.
Yeah, I'll jump in case the robot gets back to us.
Yeah.
So, Nick, I don't know if you saw it on your end, but you disconnected, so we missed you for a second.
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
But so there's one paragraph that I want to read out of the introduction that I want you to keep in mind that this was copyrighted in 2020, so it was probably written in 2018 and 2019. So just think about where we are and how prescient this feels. Elites are the authoritarians' most important promoters and collaborators. Afraid of losing their class, gender, or race privileges, influential individuals bring the insurgent into the political system, thinking that he can be controlled and he solves their problems, which often involves persecuting the left. Once the ruler is in power, elites strike a, quote, authoritarian bargain that promises them power and security in return for loyalty to the ruler and toleration of his suspension of rights. Some are true believers, and others fear the consequences of subtracting their support. But those who sign on tend to stick with the leader through gross mismanagement, impeachment, or international humiliation. So when I use that word elite, you probably had in your head either one or two groups first, right? And that is what your word association is. Elites could be Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, or they could be Paul Ryan and the rest of the Republicans who brought Trump in on the first one in first term and helped him consolidate power. These elites always cooperate because they fear losing what they already have, and they think that the authoritarian is going to help them maintain it, but he never does. Think about everyone who is allied themselves with Trump in our lifetimes. The vast majority of them have already been ruined. Think Michael Cohen. He may not be an elite in most people's minds, but he was the enforcer for Trump when he was acting as a mob boss in New York City and around the country, right? Michael Cohen was an elite. He ended up in jail because his boss just didn't want to repay the favor. And honestly, I think he just felt like being a little cruel to a guy that he no longer found useful.
Of course, yeah.
We've seen all of these tech giants, jump into bed with him. We've seen some of these media companies agree to do things like fire Jimmy Kimmel because Donald Trump is threatening them, right? The response to that is things like the Tesla takedown protests, which just evaporated billions of dollars of wealth, right? That was a real punishment. We saw massive unsubscriptions or ending subscriptions after Jimmy Kimmel was fired, right? The people punish the collaborators. That will continue to happen, whether it's the Republicans who are currently in office today or
I can't wait.
the techno-fascists who are aligning themselves with Trump. It may in this moment feel impossible to take them down, but this history follows a familiar arc. And we are just along for the ride, and we can try to end it sooner, or we can, hope that we don't get caught up in the machine. Those are the choices that we have. You can't get off the ride. Even escaping to another country. Donald Trump being in charge of the United States, through an imperial presidency, reaches everyone on the planet, which is why, I encourage people to get involved, because even if you're helping in a teeny tiny way, you could be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah,
I
every
think we're
voice
seeing
matters.
little signs that Trump's stranglehold on the Republicans is easing. I wouldn't say breaking, but the fact you guys, I don't know if you remember that I worked in Indiana for a while on Indiana politics. What just happened in Indiana, I would never have predicted 2 years ago. Like, they had a supermajority. They did not, they wielded that like the biggest cudgel. And to see them come back and say, no, we're not going to redistrict to keep all the seats is unbelievable. So maybe there's room there that's starting to open up a little bit. I just want to say, even that, I think a lot of people think, okay, well, when Trump dies, we're going to be fine. This is a whole system. And so I think that it's really important to understand that this whole system is built from, from the churches and the politicians and the oligarchs and the, it's a very big system, or a hydra, or however you want to think about it. But to see little cracks is encouraging, but it's not the whole, like, the creators out there who go, oh, he's gonna fall, he's been humiliated. No, like,
if only.
Yeah,
we need to have a little bit of a more realistic view on that one.
Yeah, if it was only that easy that we could topple a strongman like that, like, the big thing that the best way to get strongmen out, that I think, is we re-empower citizens to feel engaged and want to participate. Like, we're starting to see candidates all over the country who have stood up, who are strong candidates, who are running from federal to state and local races, who are not afraid to speak out and speak the truth and put a message that they don't have to get permission to say the messaging. Like the win in Miami, the mayor's race in Miami, where they didn't wait for permission from the Democratic Party. There was no national attention on that race, and she still won huge numbers. The mayor, there's a new Democratic mayor in Miami, I think it is, and that was not expected. That was not expected to be, especially that large of a win. And it's the same thing that Zoran Mamdani did in New York. It was talked about the 3 A's, the triple A effect that we need to do to take a messaging win and actually beat the populist at their own game. Like we have to win the messaging game before anybody will listen, because that's how you get people to listen to your arguments, at least on these national things, at least I've found. And they talked about the new mayor, first time I think in 30 years that a Democrat has won that mayorship. And that's huge, and it was a huge win. But the messaging is all affordability, accountability, and authenticity, and that's it. They're doing a AAA rescue plan and AAA, I hope you don't sue me. Like, I'm not trying to steal your tagline here, but it's a plan to rescue democracy, is to restore and reclaim these values and do it through authentic candidates. And I think that's how you win against a strongman. Is you take the authenticity that they are lacking, and you just bring people out who are authentic about what they want to do and who don't have that elite backing. Because Chris, you said elite, and my first thing that came to my mind was Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos. I was like, yep, those are the elites. They are trying to take over the world. Peter Thiel, Curtis Yarvins, those type of people.
Yep.
Those are the elites, the robber barons.
Yeah, look at that person of the year cover with all those. How dare what is it, Time magazine put all those
I want to give context for Time's person of the year. It's the most influential person.
Right,
I know Hitler won it and all that, but
exactly. Yeah.
How about I don't know, the No Kings? How about I mean, fuck them. It's just like the whole thing is disgusting.
I just think it's really bad that we consider these tech fascists as the most influential people, because that's
don't put them on this iconic
platforms there.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
Normalizes psychopathy and and this fucking destruction.
That's what I'm talking about. The image of
truth.
The image of putting these nefarious actors on this classic iconic image that we had of, an economically vibrant working class. That was literally.
Yeah, and what happens when the AI bubble bursts?
But that's what I'm saying. Like they
will still be the most influential. Like they are the Magnificent Seven.
They're not contributing positively.
When they crash the global economy single-handedly, because the stock market and everyone who has a 401k, we have all participated in the system that makes them powerful. We're not saying they are powerful. Time magazine is just acknowledging the fact. And when they crash the global financial markets, because the AI bubble is a bubble, they will still be the most influential, and still in a very fucking bad way. The year after, maybe we have some heroes, but until then, it's all bad shit.
And they won't be, I mean, they may be harmed a little bit, but they're still going to be the richest people
unless we do something about it. I mean, the French had a remedy, I thought.
I mean,
but it's looking a little attractive. No, I know we don't want to go.
I mean, Musk is almost a trillionaire.
I mean, fuck that though, too, right? And this has to be enough is enough. There is no reason for a billionaire. There's no reason for a trillionaire, and this is the problem in the country. And it all comes down to propaganda, in my opinion. Because we wouldn't have been here without propaganda, without the normalization of this concentrated wealth. That's not, and because 100 years ago, when even Teddy Roosevelt talked about, the great trust buster, right? Talked about the danger of concentrated wealth. This is why we have an estate tax, which the Republicans rebranded to the death tax. It's all about, the message, like we're saying, to talk about a death tax. No, it's about not creating an intergenerational aristocracy and monarchy like we fought a revolution against. So, others back in the day, they would understand that this is a patriotic tax to stop this from happening. And now we see how these rich mother effers have ballooned to where you gobble up the entire government itself. So, and this is not normal. That's not the way it's supposed to run. And, that's a whole other conversation, but it's all in there. The corruption, This is the most corrupt administration. And the other thing with, Trump, when this is what I will get you guys' opinion on this too. It's all smoke and mirrors with him too. When when a strong man, when an authoritarian takes power from a republic, a democracy, usually there is some kind of economic payback to even the supporters, not just the elites. Like in Germany, they start with public works, and in Italy, public works programs put people to work and whatnot. And so there is some kind of, there's that sugar high from the strong man, and people start looking the other way. Oh, well, it's working. And that's what happened in initially in Nazi Germany. So and other authoritarian takeovers, but it's not happening here. In fact, the opposite is true. And Trump is all smoke and mirrors, with him saying he got an A plus 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 on the economy. And when, people are feeling the opposite, inflation, when he left office, inflation was lower than it is now. That it was finally under control and all that, and prices are going up. And it's also disappointing that people don't wake up until they, it affects them directly. But that's why people are losing. That's why the Democrats are seeing this blue tsunami on the horizon and winning every special election, I think. But yeah, I was just wondering what you think about this, because it's just the fact is Trump is he's not giving anything to anybody. He's not helping people. Everything's going up, insurance and everything else. So there's really no payoff initially.
What he's really doing right now, in my opinion, and I forget exactly who said it, but he's making things like universal healthcare and universal education and universal housing way more appealable and center in their viewpoints. Like, he is making it so that progressive policies can be accepted in this country. Finally.
Well, that's what's
accidentally. I'm not giving him any credit for it in a positive way, but the environment
all run on that, though. They run,
yeah, and people are like, that's those who are winning are running on. It's not a
no, but I mean,
it's a progressive policy.
Ran on that. He ran on that. Everyone's getting health care. It's going to be free. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be, the easiest deal. And I mean,
and we've seen how bad he is at like keeping that promise in any way. And so, and because he's so grifty and so inauthentic around it, once he's gone, and this is where the next step comes in, and I think talk about too, maybe next week, as we keep getting into the book, because we're almost at the our hour point, is when what comes next is, does that populist appeal that is really needed, or how do we break the populist appeal, keep breaking it enough, and we'll say Epstein. By the next time we meet, the Epstein files will be out, and we'll probably be talking a lot about that.
Think of, and I don't think they're not going to release. No,
if they don't release them, what do we think the option is? Because I think the only option, if they do not release the Epstein files in full as they were supposed to, is impeachment. And it has to be a universal demand, because then we know that they are, by choice, after being ruled in every way possible by choice, hiding these files and covering it up. And covering
that's what they're doing.
And we can break that strongman look through all of that by just people who are talking about the things everybody cares about, because it's expensive as fuck to live right now, in universal health care and services out of the government, rather than the government hurting you. Services from the government are going to look a lot more appealing here real soon. And people can run on things like that, and should run on things like that, because that shows you freaking care about other people. Like, universal health care is a patriotic thing, just like you said, Tara, and we should be framing these things in the terms of patriotism.
Yes.
The founding fathers gave away their collective wealth as patriotic duty to fund the government and fund the military. They collectively pooled their resources. They gave their lives, their assets, and their titles to
and their sacred honor.
This country, and they just gave it to everybody else. It's time that the billionaires collectively give their wealth back.
Well, they need to be taxed. It's a fuck giving.
Yeah, they need to be
it needs to be taken. And I'm looking at some of the comments on, this asshole guy. There's always one, right? You guys are dumb. Wealth concentration is a means to an end. Tell me how you create a rocket company without wealth concentration. I mean,
Easy.
That's
you pay for it through the government.
On YouTube?
NASA. You can look at the chat.
I have never heard. Well, I have heard from.
NASA built a rocket company.
How did you? I mean, we went to the moon without concentrated wealth. We went to the moon in a time of American history called the Great Prosperity, where the rich paid a 90% top marginal tax rate, 35% unionized workforce, where people, were able to pay taxes. We had so much where, we had left over where we could go to the moon and do things like that. And so this is what I'm talking about. This is a failure of education right here, where the American people, this is why the Republicans go after the public education. They call it government schools, because they don't want the American people to have an institutional knowledge of of the dangers of concentrated wealth. Organized money is just as dangerous as organized mob, as FDR said famously. And these people, I guess they need to feel the pain, I suppose, of another Great Depression. Is that how it has to go until these fuckers see the light? That we have to make a choice. Like Justice Louis Brandeis said, you can choose money in the hands of a few, or you can have democracy, but you can't have both. And it's really about a shared prosperity and economic prosperity. And we went to the moon in a time called the Great Prosperity, where the United States working class was the most upwardly mobile, where there was the slightest income gap between rich and poor, in the white working class specifically. But that was because of government policy, not because billionaires felt like trickling on us. In fact, that's what we came out of, because of government policy. Because of lack of government policy, we had the first Republican Great Depression, and then we almost had the near second Republican Great Depression in 100 years. I mean, this is what happens when you don't regulate capitalism and you don't tax the rich. So, I guess he hasn't seen enough Marvel movies to know that we're dealing with supervillains now.
The billionaires.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's a great point too to end on for this conversation for today. And as part of that is, we do this because we're not billionaires. Part of one of those things is none of us are billionaires here. And I don't take any corporate money on this network, at least at this time. And I don't really plan to take a ton of corporate money ever, really, because it's a community funded network. It's a community funded system here right now, and come support the network. We're not billionaires, but we're pushing back against them. And the one thing that we need to be able to do is get this message out and get it to a broader audience. So become a free subscriber here at Banner and Backbone, or paid. We've got a Blue Friday sale going on, because you need to donate, or you should and can. And one of the biggest ways to vote with your power, the most power you have every day, is vote with your dollar. And don't fund corporations. Don't give them your money. Fund causes you care about. Timothy Snyder taught us that lesson in On Tyranny. Fund causes you care about. So come help Banner and Backbone. And then we're going to jump over to Stephanie Wilson. Come help subscribe and join to Freedom Over Fascism. Steph, sell yourself.
So Freedom Over Fascism is where we talk about the context that we're in. We talk about building community. We build community. We talk about creative solutions to where we are and the kinds of civic actions that we can take. I definitely, if you can afford a paid subscription, that would be great, or a free, that also really helps. And in the next week, I am talking, so I have my lives with Nick on Chronically Illing Out on Monday, and Tuesday and Wednesday are the Freedom Over Fascism lives at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be talking to people, one of whom has studied Christmas movies and how they have influenced our culture from the top down, which people don't actually realize. And another who was a local politician in Colorado who will talk about why local and state is so important right now. So,
and you've had some incredible interviews too recently.
Yeah, there's been a bunch, and they're pretty actually exciting, I think.
Yeah, you've done some incredible stuff recently. I've enjoyed a lot of your interviews. I listen in all the time. So come subscribe and support Freedom Over Fascism, and help Stephanie Wilson get her word out there.
Thank you. And you can also like just bump it up to 1.5 speed and get through it a lot faster. So.
always good tips and tricks too.
You know?
You get more content if you bump it up to 1.5, and you can get more of all of us.
It's true. Just don't do it right before bed, because then your brain won't stop.
That is true. That is true. And next on our list is my good friend and fellow Army veteran, Christopher Goldsmith, also the founder of the book clubs themselves, Freedom Over Fascism. No, that was you, Stephanie. Veterans Fighting Fascism, Task Force Butler, a whole bunch of other things. Chris, you've got your new On Offense podcast coming out that you've been doing, and they've been great interviews, and I've really enjoyed them. Sell yourself, my friend.
Yeah. So my one call to action today is, if you haven't yet gone to veteransfightingfascism.org to get your leadership guides for setting up an anti-fascist book club, or if you have in the past, you should know that there's a new page, and it is just titled How to Be Antifa. So if you want to learn how to be an anti-fascist, go check that out.
Very nice.
Awesome. And you're learning how to be an anti-fascist here, and that may be another spawning of another book club too. Is we love book clubs here. We like reading. And so, yeah, come support Chris and all the work that he's doing. Help get his message and word out. He's doing a lot of really good research and support, and I appreciate all that you're doing, bud. Thank you for everything. You've helped get me into this community. So, like, thank you. I appreciate getting to work alongside you and hang out with you. So this is great. Help support Chris and get the word out there. And then another good friend we have is Tara Devlin of Terra Buster. Sell yourself, my friend.
All right. Well, if you can, please subscribe. Well, you can. I know you can do it. Subscribe to my Substack. I got to get those numbers up. And also the YouTube channel and all that. I'm on the Political Voices Network, so subscribe to them. And I know we're just trying to do this to make this country and the world safe for democracy, I suppose. Fighting fascism. I had other plans, but I guess the universe roped me into it. But so tonight, 8:30 p.m. we're going to have a live show at youtube.com/channel/Tarabuster. It's just going to be me tonight because I'm a little bit salty today. So come and check it out. We have a great chat room, and it's always fun. And also, buy one of these No Kings lapel pins. So isn't that nice?
And send me a link and I'll help.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind helping boost people.
Thank you. Yeah, it's on it doesn't go to me. It's the Political Voices Network for to keep the not just my show.
Keep the lights on.
Yeah, to keep all the PVN articles, talent, shows going and growing. And thank you. I think this is great. No Kings. That's it.
Thanks, Tara. And it's been good to have you on.
Thank you.
And I'm glad glad you joined us. I like your rants, the Tara rants. They are a lot of fun to get to listen to. And then come support me. Sick of the Shit Publications. That's my home spot. I'm going to be doing some new reporting here over the next few weeks. That is focused heavily into marginalized and disability and education communities to help put the word out and stop some of the shit that's going on and some of the horrendously anti or transphobic stuff that's happening in our country and the anti-LGBTQ. And so that's my home. Outside of here, that's my less political content or overtly political content. I do poetry, Chronically Illing Out, where we talk chronic illnesses. I have a safe space for people to be part of our community. And I'm excited for some of our upcoming shows on that. But that's my Sick of the Shit Publications. Come join me there. And then again, come join the network, Banner and Backbone. That's how we get all of this. We're going to start putting out, hopefully soon, another book club in the next few weeks, maybe with Stephanie Wilson. We'll talk about that. We'll talk offline.
I missed something here.
Guys, I got to jump.
Okay, Chris has got to jump, and we're going to end it here. Is come support all of us. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, wait. I just want to say one thing, that this is why we do this thing, for people like that idiot on the chat. Why can't we have concentrated wealth? Duh. I mean, wow. That people, that Americans actually think that this is a good thing, that we should have, supervillains controlling all the wealth, is pretty damn sad and damning, don't you think? Mm-hmm. So, all right. Anyway.
Yeah. And so thank you, everyone who's joined us here on Substack, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook. We're all over the place today on multiple channels and our guest channels. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been great having all of you. Next week, we'll be starting our deeper dive, or continuing our deeper dive into Strongmen by Ruth Ben-Ghiat. This has been the first part, the introduction, and we'll be getting into part 1 next week. Look forward to seeing everyone again at 12:30 Eastern time every Friday, except for Christmas Friday. Like the day after Christmas, we will not be here because I don't think anybody wants to be doing anything that day. So we'll see y'all next week. Have a great weekend. Go do something anti-fascist today. And if you want to follow and you're in Substack, click on the Chiron in the top left corner, hit the subscribe button, and you will start seeing all of our great contributors today, all of their work, that and you'll get a free subscribe to everybody. So thank you so much, y'all, for being here, and we'll see you next